begin asymptomatic testing.
Several student organizations at FGCU
and we're going to play Guess the Song.
Hello, welcome to Hanging with the Executives here at the Bauer School of Music.
And you're watching ENTV.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Week 13 of Hard Hitters. I'm your host this week, Carson Zorn, and I am joined by
James Rossi,
Kevin Rollins,
and Nick Aslin.
So we had a lot of good NFL action last week. We had the 3 Thanksgiving games, and we had some pretty good primetime games. This week we have the Cardinals and Panthers on a bye, but we did want to flash back to last week for one particular game that I think one of our members will enjoy talking about very much. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Baltimore Ravens 28-27 on a last-second 2-point attempt. And we'll hear from our resident Jags fan, James Rossi, on what he thought about the game.
Well, honestly, I think it was due for the Jags. They've lost like 6 games now by less than like 1 score. They've had the potential this year to like do good, and they finally came up and actually won a game, so I was really happy. A missed kick, a caused fumble by the Jags, like it was just great play, and I was very happy to see them win for the first time in a while.
Justin Tucker, rare missed field goal for him. They tried going for a new NFL record, 68 yards, but it comes up just short, and the Jaguars get a big win over the Ravens.
All right, now moving on to Week 13, we have Thursday Night Football. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots. What do you guys got in this game?
I think the Patriots actually come up big and win this game. It's at home. It's a big primetime game. The Patriots have had this game circled on their calendar all year, and I think they show up big this week.
Yeah, if you look at the Bills' recent track record against the Patriots, their only loss to them within the last, recent time is that weird one where the Patriots only threw the ball 3 times that one night. And since that game, I think the Bills have only gotten better and the Patriots have stayed the same, so I think the Bills have a strong chance to win this game. All right, so now we move on to Sunday 1 o'clock games. We'll start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Quite a matchup of subpar teams, but it could turn out to be a great game. Who do you guys see winning this one?
I think the Falcons continue this trend where they surprise a lot of people and they win this game.
Yeah, I definitely think the Falcons are a lot better team than what they've shown, and I think Marcus Mariota is a big part of the reason why they're not being the team that they probably should be. Granted, I feel like you can say the same thing for the Steelers. They haven't played great, and with their quarterback throwing multiple interceptions every game, it's kind of hard to win games when you turn the ball over. It is just a battle of the worst here, and I think I have to go with the Falcons for this one because they're at home.
All right, next up, we got the oldest rivalry in the NFL. We got the Green Bay Packers heading to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. A lot of uncertainty in this game about who will be QB for both teams. We could have Rodgers versus Fields. We could have Love versus Peterman. Who knows what's going on? But so let's just see what y'all think about this game.
Yeah, I typically won't like wearing Packers anything after a loss, but I'm pretty satisfied after that loss. Jordan Love, he showed a lot of great shines and a good glimpse into the future, so I'm happy for that. Obviously, the present is not very shining right now, but I'm confident that Rodgers will play this week, and I'm confident that he will continue to own the Chicago Bears and remind all of the Chicago fans this weekend who their real owner is. We're 1-7 in our last 8 games. We're pretty much eliminated from the playoffs, but why not go out one more time with another Chicago Bear beatdown?
All right, next up, we got a battle of the cats. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, so I'm going to start it, end it like this. The Lions lost at the last second. The Jags won at the last second. I think it's going to be the same in this game.
All right, next up for the 1 o'clock slate, we got the Mike White-led New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings.
As much as I don't want the Vikings to keep winning, I kind of hope they just go off here because I'm going to need some more fantasy points from Justin Jefferson. And I just hope it's a good matchup, but I think the Vikings will come out on top.
Next up, we got an NFC East matchup. We got the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. This could be an interesting one. This could be a lot of playoff implications here. So let's see what we got for this one.
Taylor Heineke is going to keep being him this week, and I predict that he's going to get a nice red, white, and blue pair of Jordans after this win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nick on this one. I understand that the Giants are probably the better team here. They've got the better rush. They've got the better coach. But Taylor Heineke just works in this Washington offense. Ron Rivera has turned this team right back around after a rough start with Carson Wentz. I'm going to go with the Commanders. I just trust Taylor Heineke, which is not something I ever thought I'd say, but the man's on a mission this year, and I agree with Nick. Enjoy your new pair of Jordans. All right, next up, we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Two pretty good teams going at it, two teams that are very good at running the ball going at it, so this could be an interesting one.
The Titans have an unusual trend of showing up for really big games, and I think this does happen this week. I think the Eagles are still really good, but they need to really, be more physical. I think the Titans win a big one.
Next up, we've got the Let's Die Broncos country, who are currently sitting at 3-8 or 3-9, I forget which one it is, versus the Baltimore Ravens, who just took an L to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of these teams somewhat underperforming this year, but the Broncos to a much bigger extent than the Ravens. What do you got for this one?
I don't think anyone can pick the Broncos. I mean, watching them, nothing looks good. Russ looks bad, the team looks bad, the coaching looks bad, everything looks bad. Obviously, the Ravens did lose the Jags, which I'm happy about, but I'm going to pick them. There's just nothing good going on in Denver right now.
Russell Wilson still has more bathrooms in his house than he has touchdowns on the year, and I think that trend continues this week, and I think the Ravens absolutely decimate the Broncos in Baltimore. All right, and now for the most interesting 1 o'clock game. A lot to talk about here. Don't know if we'll be able to cover all of it on here, but we have the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson returning from suspension against his former team, the Houston Texans, in Houston. So a lot to talk about in this game besides just the predictions. So let's just get it rolling.
I think I'll pick the Texans because, I think the Browns are become another one of those teams that I am going the anti-pick because, they're a good reason to pick against him.
And I'll leave it at this. I think Deshaun Watson comes in, puts up 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns, and I think they actually kill him. I just don't see the Texans being anything, and I think he's going into this game with a lot to prove and kind of like save any sort of legacy if he's going to have any. Obviously, he's had those issues. I think it's either one, I think he's going to do it. Like, he's going to be that guy this year or this season. But if he's not, I think it's over for him kind of thing.
All right, now moving on to a very entertaining 4 o'clock slate of games. We start off with an NFC West matchup. We got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Los Angeles Rams.
And I think the Seattle Seahawks continue to keep their streak going. They haven't rolled back to anyone yet, and they'll be in contention for a playoff spot.
Next up, this is maybe the most or second most entertaining game of this 4 o'clock slate. We have Kevin's Miami Dolphins taking on the San Francisco 49ers. All right, Kevin, we'll start with you.
All right, first of all, Fins for the win. The Fins, they have won a lot of games in a row now ever since Tua came back, and they're undefeated when Tua starts and finishes the game this year. It has been awesome. Here's the thing. Like, the Dolphins' win streak goes against a lot of teams that didn't really have winning records, and you can't really win all your games. I think with the O-line concern that came up this week, I don't want to do this, but I think I have to pick against the Fin this week. The Niners, they have a really good defense, and if the Dolphins have concerns on the O-line, it's not going to end well. And however, this is a game Dolphins can't afford to lose because it's against an NFC team, not an AFC team. But I don't know. I'm sure the Fins can bounce back, continue to make a playoff run, but I'll take a learning point in the loss.
Do we seriously have 3 picks for the 49ers right now, including the Dolphins fan? Am I going to be the only one to pick the Dolphins here? Jimmy G versus Tua. And I feel like that's not being talked about enough. It's Jimmy G, and then it's Tua. There is a huge talent gap right there. And I just don't see a way this Dolphins offense gets slowed down enough to lose this game. All right, now for probably the best game in the 4 o'clock slate that this or the previous one should have been on primetime, but that's what it is. We have a rematch of the AFC Championship game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on my Cincinnati Bengals, and if you don't mind, I'm going to take the lead on this one. Burrow is 2-0 against Mahomes. One of them happened in Cincinnati, one of them happened in Arrowhead. Both of them were like a Week 17 game and then the AFC Championship game. There's a lot riding on this game, and the Bengals have the momentum against the Chiefs. And not only that, but we have Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase coming back from injury. Burrow has been a flawless quarterback without Jamar Chase, which is not something I ever thought I'd expect. I know Burrow was good, but obviously every quarterback's going to be better with an alpha wide receiver. But Burrow has been making it work the last 3 weeks with the receivers like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Trenton Irwin, Trent Taylor. People are saying Burrow's carried by Chase. The dude just had us go undefeated in November. The Bengals were undefeated in the month of November, and we did not have Jamar Chase for a single one of those games. But we found a way both times last year to beat the Chiefs when it really mattered. And it came down to last second in both games, I won't lie. But we found a way to beat them. And I think we do it again this year. I'm taking the Bengals to beat the Chiefs for the third time in a row. All right, next up we got an AFC West matchup. We got the Los Angeles Chargers heading to the Black Hole and taking on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Fortunately for me, I had Josh Jacobs in one of my fantasy leagues, and it got me the win, so thank you to him. Like I've been saying all season, just feed Josh Jacobs. This Raiders offense has been astronomically better in games where they have just fed Josh Jacobs. And as long as they continue to do that, I think they'll beat the Chargers this week.
All right, next up we got Sunday Night Football. We have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Dallas Cowboys in what should be kind of a slaughter fest, but we'll see what you guys think.
Dallas just going to kill them. This year has not been the Colts' year. Even Jonathan Taylor, who's been a star running back, is just not playing at himself. They're just not that good of a team, and I think the Cowboys have a great team that can do even better than they did last week for sure.
All right, and then finally to wrap the week up, we got Monday Night Football. We got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one should be an interesting one. Has some playoff implications for both teams somehow. Even though this division should be wrapped up, it's not. So this could be an interesting one.
Even though the Saints do have a history of owning the Buccaneers, I think it's still a different Saints team. Even though Dennis Allen did beat the Buccaneers last year, I think the Bucs are still trying to make one last run, even though they lost in unusual fashion to Browns. Tom Brady lost to his third-string quarterback at one time, Jacoby Brissett. Probably pretty low scoring, but Bucs should take this one with no problem.
Yeah, this is the Monday Night Snooze Fest. This is going to be a very low-scoring game in my opinion, but I don't know why. Call me crazy. I'm taking the Saints. Neither of these teams looks particularly inspiring, but I just have to stick to my guns and what I said earlier this year. I said there's neither of these teams is going to sweep the other this year. I picked the Saints to beat the Bucs earlier this year. It didn't happen. So I'm picking them this time because I just don't think there's a way one of these teams sweeps the other. So I'm taking the Saints to win this one. All right, thank you for tuning in to our Week 13 picks and predictions. Check in next week to see how we did.